Carl Sagan once said that we are made of star stuff. And in reality, all living organisms are made of star stuff bound by sunlight. This process happens in plant leaves and is called photosynthesis. Photons start their journey from our sun and almost 8.5 minutes later reach the leaf of a plant where they get captured from the sun rays and give the energy for the plant's photosynthetic machinery to bind carbon dioxide and form basic carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are then processed to form more complex structures, such as proteins, with the help of other elements like nitrogen. These carbohydrates and proteins are the basic source of energy and provide building blocks and tools for all land ecosystems, including for us humans. Through agriculture, the energy and building materials formed within the plants become food for us and food for the animals we rely on. This process determines what we eat and how we live. That makes it crucial for us in the survival game. But how do we ensure that our plants have everything they need? How do our agricultural practices affect the process, and which agriculture is better, organic or conventional? There are a number of essential plant nutrients without which a plant cannot survive and reproduce. Depending on the quantities in which these nutrients are required, they are divided into macronutrients and micronutrients. From the macronutrients, carbon and hydrogen are mostly obtained from the atmosphere through the leaves. Oxygen can enter the plant from both the atmosphere and the soil in different forms. Most of the other nutrients are almost entirely obtained from the soil. Nitrogen is required in the highest amounts as it forms the basis of all proteins. Even though approximately 78% of the atmosphere is molecular nitrogen, plants cannot use atmospheric nitrogen directly. Most commonly, plants take up nitrogen from the soil in the form of nitrate, or in some cases, ammonium. The process of transforming atmospheric nitrogen into plant-available soil forms is called nitrogen fixation and is performed mainly by bacteria. Nitrogen fixation, however, is a very energy-demanding process. To overcome this, some bacteria have formed a symbiotic relationship with plants. They start living in special houses that the plants create for them called nodules. Within the nodules, bacteria fix nitrogen, while the plants feed them carbohydrates and provide oxygen. The bacteria pay rent for their accommodation and utilities in the form of fixed, directly usable nitrogen. Almost all nitrogen in every natural ecosystem comes from bacteria. In conventional agriculture, however, we use the Haber-Bosch process that can break atmospheric nitrogen and fix it for fertilizer, overstepping the need for promoting healthy bacterial growth in the soil and significantly inhibiting natural fixation. In organic agriculture, legume plants can be used as natural fertilizers as they form symbiotic relationships with bacteria and enrich the soil with nitrogen. An alternative is the usage of organic fertilizers in the form of animal manure, urine, compost, vinasse, and other natural products containing nitrogen. However, we must remember that all of this nitrogen has originally come from the atmosphere via bacterial fixation or the Haber-Bosch process. If a cow is fed grain, which is conventionally produced, and then its manure and urine are fed back to an organic farm, is this still an organic source of nitrogen? The tomatoes from such a farm will be sold as organic, but the nitrogen in them would have come from the Haber-Bosch process with an extra step. Essentially, the plants do not care what their source of nitrogen is, as they will almost always take up nitrate or ammonium. One of the main dangers in both organic and conventional agriculture lies in over-fertilization. This is because of two primary reasons. First, when too much nitrogen is present on the field, this can produce serious environmental risks. Soil microbial activities release nitrous oxide in a process called denitrification. Nitrous oxide is a greenhouse gas with 265 times more global warming potential than CO2. And second, nitrogen and other elements such as phosphorus and potassium leach into the subsoil waters, rivers, and lakes, leading to a process called eutrophication, where blooms of microorganisms can suffocate the water reservoir and exhaust its nutrients. Conventional agriculture utilizes nitrogen forms that are directly available for plant uptake and can be delivered in precise quantities to support the whole life cycle of a crop. This is much more difficult to accomplish with organic sources, as the nitrogen in them is usually bound and not directly available for plants. Its release is dependent on degradation by soil organisms. Thus, much higher quantities of nitrogen must be supplied to ensure a successful harvest in an organic system, while large quantities of residual nitrogen are left in the soil after harvest. On the other hand, the large quantities of carbon that come from organic fertilizers support healthy soil. The usage of organic fertilizers closes the cycle of nutrients, where they get taken up by plants and then composted back to soil fertilizer, or eaten by animals and returned to the soil to be used again. Altogether, a successful agricultural practice can depend both on organic sources to maintain healthy soil, while conventional sources can be used to supplement the immediate needs for plant growth during a plant's life cycle. In the end, it's not about organic or conventional, as it's all in the hands of the farmer to ensure a healthy and prosperous farm.